Hello, everyone. This is Diego, developer advocate here at Scaleway, and welcome to a new Scaleway Sessions episode. This time we don't have Dan and Eli. They are right now at conferences, actually, having fun and sharing with you guys, the audience that we love. But instead, here I have three amazing guests today. I want to present you Lucas, Ben, and Maxime. They will be chatting with us about observability and we don't know what else because we will see what happens, right? So, Lucas, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, so I'm Lucas and I'm product marketing manager at Scaleway. I'm in charge of the observability product. So as you probably know, we launched our own first solution on the market almost a month ago, which is called Cockpit, and we are very proud of it. And I also work on other matters such as identity and access management, for instance.
Oh, amazing. How about you, Ben?
Hi, so I'm Ben. I'm working with Lucas and Maxime on the Observability Pass team. I'm the lead dev of the team, and it's been 6 months I joined Scaleway, and for now it's amazing.
Cool. And then we have Maxime.
Yeah, thank you. As you all guess, I work with Luca and Benjamin, and I'm the product manager for the Cockpit product.
All right. So, yeah, welcome. Welcome to this, our 13th episode. So, yeah, number 13. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was flying back from Spain after speaking at a DevOps Day conference in Cáceres, and I was sitting at the row number 12. And this is the first time I noticed that at least this plane didn't have a 13th row. Have you ever noticed that? Planes not having a 13th row?
I haven't noticed, but I've heard as well, and it's very, very funny that they don't have like a setting row.
Right?
It's very funny, I think. Yeah, it's very, very funny.
Yeah, it seems like the superstition still lives there.
It
Can
depends.
And
you?
It depends on the country you are in, because I think it's in Italy it's the seventh one that is not all accepted and very superstitious. And I think
right.
that if you have to play on a Italian company, you will have not 7 row.
That will be interesting, an interesting fact check, because I also remember reading about this some time ago, and it seems like in the past, the 13 was a lucky number in France as well. Have you heard
Oh,
about that?
really?
Yeah. Well, that's what Wikipedia said some time ago, so it may be true. One thing I do know and have noticed in different places around the world is the 13th floor of a building. That's usually marked as 12B or
Really?
14 and then 14A, and then you have the actual 14 marked as 14B. But yeah, they do skip the 13th floor.
Can you imagine you just like start a new job and you're like, I'm sorry, but I can't work on the 13th floor. I need to go to the 14th floor, the 12th, but I can't work at this floor. I'm sorry.
There's there's
Imagine.
actually a phobia. It's got a name. I can't recall the name, but there's actually a phobia that's documented. People that have phobia to the number 13.
We imagine that
Well,
we want to say that we can't work on the fifth on the month because I afraid of the day and I stay in the bed all the day because I don't want to wake up.
Well, yeah, in this case, the 13th month, you will be safe, but you could go with the 13th day. So there's one day that you get because medical conditions.
I think we can go with little conspiracy and say we don't have 13 months because it will be unlucky.
that's why.
That may be true. And yeah, it's who knows where this comes from. Probably the moon cycles that we have around 12 during the year. But yeah, it's just random things that people think may bring bad luck without any basis or without any data to back that up. And that's where we come to backing things up with data. your thoughts and your decisions. How do you do that nowadays?
Just like that was the best transition I ever seen in my life, to be honest. I'm just going to like that's perfect transition. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
What do you do without data these days? No?
The what,
Like,
sorry?
what can you do without data these days? Like,
Yes,
not very
just
much.
have superstitions
Mm,
and do what other people thinks is right
If
or
you want
wrong.
a good
Or
story about a massive amount of data and linked to observability, I was just talking with some friends yesterday about this Netflix documentary. In France, it's called Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah.
L'affaire. In English, it's the Great Hack, and they are talking
the
about
wet arc.
the Great Hack.
Oh, they rate that.
And it's talking about the Cambridge Analytica scandal in US and how they managed to target people with Facebook data to send them very specific advertising to make them worried about things and want to be safe, so they vote for Trump basically. It's a very massive scandal because there were leak of Facebook data because there were not enough security, and Cambridge Analytica get all the data from a lot of people. And my friend was saying like, "Oh my God, there was so much data. You know, they have 5,000 data points per people and so on." And I was like, yeah, it's monitoring and observability. Like, what the big deal? It's just a little part of the world that we see every day. But for people, I think a lot of people are using the web, are browsing all the day, but they don't even imagine the amount of data that even a single picture on Instagram can be really on the computer that is running the server behind these pictures.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, how long do you actually stare at the picture? So, or how often do you scroll down, or how after watching a video or a certain type of funny cat? All
Yeah,
of
and I
those
think
things that you don't think about,
they
but they do.
probably already store for example, the orientation of your device when you are using it, so they know maybe when you are looking for shorts, you are maybe on your bed looking for stuff. You can have a lot of data coming from a phone if
I,
you make an app on it.
I hadn't think about the orientation
Uh,
ever.
I think I think there is something like it was maybe Uber or something else that increase the price of the course if your battery is low. Like if you have only 20 minutes of batteries, it will increase the charge because there is a must chance for you to
The
take the course, of
urgency,
course. The urgency.
right? Wow. But I mean, wow, the accelerometer thing. It's a sensor that I don't usually think about. It's been there on devices for a long time, and I've never thought about that. Actually,
Look
yeah, when
at
you're sitting, when you're laying down, when you have it on a table, it's different. Gives you
yeah,
data.
you
Yeah.
just have to have a look about Apple whole health solution. They managed to know how many running you are doing in the day, and your phone is just in your pocket. But they know how many footsteps you made,
Yeah.
and they even have urgency situation. And if they manage to find out that your phone or your Apple Watch is just moving very fast, like you are just going on the floor, basically, they can manage to send an urgent SMS to your friend because you can have a heartbreak or some issue or having an accident. And because of the accelerator on the position of the phone, they can know what happened to you.
Well, yeah, yeah, and that's what what they keep working on. Because actually yesterday I was just watching a video from a news organization in the US that was making an investigation on the devices that actually you can wear and will read your insulin levels, and then they will give you data about that every, I don't know how often, probably 1 minute or even less. They will
I
be
think
checking.
there is already a company that are selling like a patch that you put on your arm that
Yeah,
is constantly monitoring, like maybe every 5 minutes, the insulin level that you have, and you can have some notification on your phone saying that you are low, please take your insulin.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
There are two big companies, then there's one smaller, and then they mentioned that Apple is trying to get into that business because there's people suffering from diabetes more and more around the world. So there's the market, right?
Of course.
But there's also the market of people that wants to be healthier and wants to have actual current data of what's happening inside their bodies. And it's data. It's then you just need to do something with it.
Have you heard about like this story about I think it's a millionaire in the US. It's a guy who's like around 40 years old and he's trying to um, improve his health, but like in an unreasonable way. Like he's doing like I don't know, like five blood analysis per day, like that kind of stuff. He spent like millions on it because he's trying to find like the ideal recipe to live longer. Because like we know, like for millionaire and billionaires, sometimes like living forever is kind of a dream. Like so that person is like doing so many tests. He's doing like, I mean, it's crazy. He's just like using his body as a guinea pig, to try to make tests, on this. And well, like the amount of data he's collecting is very impressive because he's like tracking everything all the time, 24 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. It's like crazy. Have you heard about that story? It's kind of
No, I
trendy.
haven't. I
Yeah, I
No.
haven't.
didn't.
But if people are all surprised and crazy about how many data points Cambridge Analytica was able to get, imagine that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
but like
Cambridge Analytica was like
I
it was
think it
like
was
something like
maybe 10 years ago that the watch, like the Fitbit watch, to track your step and your heartbeat,
Mhm.
start to be commercialized. I think it was a huge improvement, like for the health in general, because now Fitbit was able to have all of their user heartbeats centralized at one point, because when you wanted to get your heartbeat checked, you have to count it yourself or go to the doctor. Now there is something on your wrist that is analyzing it every time, so you can have some data all over the day of your heartbeat. And I think like this is maybe the same things with your guy Lucas. This taking his blood
Yeah.
test like 3 times a day. Maybe sometime we'll have some device plugged in our arm and we'll do the check like every five
And for
minutes.
that guy, it's just like next level. It's just like
Yeah,
extreme. He's doing like the best thing you could do for your body, like the best. Like I don't think you can do more than what this guy is doing. Basically, I shall think it's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
And for Fitbit, just like who has bought Fitbit? Do you remember?
Google,
Because it's not, yeah, Google indeed. Yeah. So like
Pixel
April,
Watch.
like
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
April, like health is definitely going to be a growing business in the future
Exactly.
regarding data. That's for sure. Like, and they invest a lot in it.
Yeah,
I
they're
So
moving towards that.
I think that health data and health solution, also with EHM, the way we interact with the computer will be two big topics for the next decade. Did you see the company Human with the E at the end?
No, it doesn't
no.
ring a bell.
no.
What do they do?
It's It's a company that is very at right now. They made a big intro at the last TED conferences, and they are trying to get a computer to new devices to interact with them as human. And they show at TED conferences a little object that you put on your shirt. It has a sensor of humidity, health. There are camera. There are also projectors, and they show that they can display something on your hand. You just have to put your hand just in front of you. They display things. They can see with the camera. It's a whole new way of thinking the interaction with the computer. It's the Google Glass without the glass, and it's very interesting. And I think the way we interact with the computer will be a big topic for the next decade, because as we are getting smaller and smaller, and the computer are getting smarter and smarter, the way we can dialogue with them and have data, it will be easier than ever.
Yeah,
So your bet for the next few years will be... Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was going to say that apparently your bet for the next few years will be human interaction devices and then human data analytics.
Yes. I think for developers, we will still use keyboard to interact with machine. But yeah, I see the point of having new way to interact with computer. I think maybe for the elderly people, it can be great. People that never used a computer, maybe it's much more easier to have something plug on you, like to ask things about, like, I don't know.
I don't know about that, because on the one hand, the people with the most resources probably will be people in the tech industry to be able to get those new devices, and those will be the people who will be more willing to actually experiment with something new without reading the manual, because that's what we do. So I don't know, maybe we will be the first in line for what's coming in this new era of human interaction devices. Because I can say that I use a trackball instead of a mouse. So this is a next step, or a step back, because we've been using trackballs since the beginning in the probably 80s as well. So yeah, I don't know. Do you think you will be able to code with a neural device, one of those hats that you use to interact?
It's very funny because, like, I'm sure you've heard about Neuralink, the US startup from Elon Musk. Actually, today they've announced that they had like the authorization of making tests on humans by the FDA. So it has been announced today. So yeah. So I mean, it's only test, right? It doesn't mean that it will work or like, but it's definitely it's definitely moving for sure.
Would you be willing to be a test subject?
I wouldn't, to be honest. I'm trying. So, fun fact, like my phone is in black and white, and sometimes I put my computer in black and white as well, because this way I have less dopamine because of the colors. So this way it's less addictive.
Oh, yeah, I set up a shortcut on my iPhone to do that too, so I can
that's great.
put my screen in black and white, and it's less distracting.
Yeah.
How is it
For me,
working?
it takes ages.
How long have you been doing that, Lucas?
For a year, but I just like change. Sometimes sometimes you
Right.
need colors. For sure, like if you're watching a video, for instance,
Yeah.
sometimes it's very like, I don't know, a video about painting, for instance, like not having colors wouldn't be a good thing, I think. So it's been a year. For me, it's not like I don't have like a shortcut, so I need to go in the developer options in my Android phone and like set a bit. But now I think like I can do it in like, I don't know, like 20, 30 seconds.
Right.
Which also is a good thing, because this way I just like don't deactivate it, because it's very easy to activate it, but like when you have colors, you're like, oh, I like colors actually. I'm not sure I want to go back to black and white, and then you realize your mind is just like swallowed by your phone. Your whole attention is just going. It's just being like completely focused on your phone. And so yeah, it's very useful if you want to reduce your time on screen. And I've been trying to do it as well on my computer for a few weeks sometime when I need to be like super focused, super productive, and it's very useful as well if you don't need colors.
Yeah, if you're not a designer.
Yeah,
How about you, Ben?
yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
I used it like maybe for a year, and now I'm only in color.
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back to color now. But I try to don't use my phone that often, so I put it in do not disturb. So while I'm working, like it's fine. I don't get disturbed anymore. So I don't need the black and white screen. But I was thinking about maybe for coding, like having a screen, a ink screen, I think it's called.
Oh yeah.
Mostly it's for people with some disability on the eye, and it's expensive. But I would like to try that maybe one day. But in my idea, when I code, I want to have some color, like to know what I'm dealing with.
Yeah,
So
of
maybe
course.
black and white's not that.
Are you a black background or a white background guy, Benjamin?
Depend of the sun. My screen is not very bright, so when I have some sun from the window, I have to go white team. I would prefer to stay in black, but it's right most of the time.
Okay.
How about you, Maxime?
Actually, I did a little bit of code, and I was a white team all the day because I don't know. I like to read. I like reading. I never had a book with dark screen in my hand, so white was more logical to see a character on my screen, and I always be in the white team.
Right. I'm not sure if actually the Kindle has a mode to invert
Yes,
the
you have,
Yes,
colors.
you
you
have,
can do it.
yes.
You can do it, and you can set up automatically, especially for the night, because like the widescreen when it's like super dark is not very. I mean, it's not the best, I would say. But I'm a dark mode guy, so
I'm wondering now if an app is able to get that information from your device to see if the user is actually seeing colors or not. And if not, are they able to then change something to grab their attention even more, like get that data and do something useful with that? That's a question
Which
for an Android developer or iOS developer, probably.
Yeah, maybe.
which information if you are using a black team or white team,
Yes,
for example?
no, I mean, you remove the colors. You go with the
Before
gray
maybe,
shades.
but now everything is sandboxed and you don't have access to all of the information that you want. You have to request it. So if the user accepts that your application is accessing the accessibility part of your device, they can read that you disable the color or you have a color issue, probably. But yeah, maybe because there is people, there's a lot of people that have disability with some colors.
Right.
I don't know the name in English. I think there is three kind of issue with the eyes like that, and probably apps should be able to read it to adapt the color. Or probably it's only the iPhone that change the color for the app. I don't know.
Many things that you can do with data and actually knowing what's happening from beginning to end when the user interacts or is even just looking at the screen. And then you can, from your system, do something with that information. An amazing world, right?
Yeah.
Actually, the Kindle and all of the device for reading are big topic about personal data. If you want to go on this side, because we have actually a really deep knowledge on what words means and what human can feel. And if you start to analyze how someone is reading a book on the Kindle, you can understand how he feel when he's reading something when he lasts longer on the page, when he go back to a page, when he will go back to a certain part of the book, and it can give you a lot of insight of all the people is working with his sentiment, how he feels, and so on. So Amazon have a pretty big way to analyze who you are with what kind of book you are buying with your Kindle and how you are reading it. Hopefully, there is no webcam into the Kindle, but if they add a webcam into the Kindle, they also can see your face and know how you feel with the data reconnection on the webcam.
Maybe they can, like, think about the Nintendo 3DS. There is some camera on the front that track your eyes to
Yes.
be able to have the 3D on the screen. So technically, it's a camera that's looking at your eyes to adjust the screen, but I think at the time they don't collect data and send it to their server. But imagine doing that now with a Kindle to say,
Apple,
"Oh, read a book like a real book, like in 3D."
yeah,
But we have to track your eyes and what happened behind you.
Apple did a really great job about informing people that the microphone or the webcam is on when an application is open. It's really important for people to know that the like if you have an iPhone for I think it's iOS 15 or 16, if you open it to Instagram, you will see that uh, the the camera will
Yeah.
be the webcam will be on the home screen on Instagram, and there is no need to take a picture on the home screen on Instagram. But when you
Yeah.
launch Instagram, they open your webcam to see what happened. What they did with it, we don't know, but iOS tell you that there's your webcam open when you open Instagram.
Yeah, everything has been turned, and I think that ever since Cambridge Analytica, as you mentioned, things have turned into more privacy concerning way.
Do you really think that people are concerning with their personal data? Because I think we are in the compute system, we are into the informatic world, so we are connected to Twitter and hot topics about personal data. We work at Scaleway and we are a cloud provider, so we are very sensitive about personal data, sovereignty data. But if you look at the world, at all the people
General
of the
population.
world, yes, a lot of people have some information about what happened with Edward Snowden, with documentaries like Cambridge Analytica. But
Yeah.
does it really change the way people use the computer or their social network? I'm not sure at all. It's like, oh my god, it's really bad. And 5 minutes later, but what happened with the cake into the oven? Is it okay? And people just forget that there's something very big on it with them, and they are not aware of happen. And I'm not sure that people are very worried about the personal data at all in the
I
end.
I definitely agree with you. People may not be concerned about that. However, nowadays, vendors like Apple or Google are providing more tools for people to make their own choices. Like your camera is being used, or this device, this app wants to use your device's geolocation sensor. So now you have the tools to make the decisions. If you are conscious about that or not, well, that's another story. But at least if you are a privacy focused user, generally a power user, you are able to decide up to some degree.
Up to some point,
Yeah.
indeed. Because if you don't agree, like most of the times they won't allow you to use the service, right? It's like it's considered as a fair trade. I'm not sure it is, but like it's like you give your data and then you have access to a service, right? That's the business model of Facebook, basically. Like we provide you content for free, and then you give us data so we can target you and we can sell advertising. And it's been like the model in so many ways for the last 15 years. But I do join Maxim on the fact that I think that you are both right because like privacy power users are very important today because this is because of them that institutions such as the EU vote text as like the GDPR. So these kind of users are definitely very important. But like people not interested in privacy, like most users, are more interested about having access to a service for free or um, which makes also sense, right? Because people don't realize. I'm not sure even us, and we work in the tech field. We realize the amount of data that is collected today and what you can do with it. Um, so you can do. So we were talking about the Kindle. I think like sometimes it can be very interesting as well because like for Kindle you have this feature, for instance, like you have a highlight feature. You can highlight some sentences or pages if you like them. And if you do, so Amazon is going to get that data, right? So far that's okay. But the good thing is that sometimes they tell you that sentence has been highlighted by I don't know 20 other readers, which sometimes is nice as well because you're like, oh, that's interesting, and you're like, I don't know, I read a lot of philosophy book basically, and so then I'm like, other people found this interesting as well, nice. So, but like you can make cool feature with data, and sometimes it's not like very scary, but sometimes it is. So you have good and bad things
If we
with
want
those
to
things.
talk about personal data and a bit of observability, I think we can recommend to our viewers to go to YouTube and to watch the independent documentary called Nothing to Hide. It's a documentary made by a French and German team about what happened with the Edward Snowden scandal, and they are just pointing at look at how big company manage to collect your data and what they can do with it about you to know you. And into the documentary, they take random people, very skeptical about collecting data and how it can affect his own life. And they are showing to him, like, okay, we are collecting your data during 1 month, and with your you said you agree with that, and we only connect metadata, not data, so we don't have access to your conversation, but just when and who you chat with, where you go and when you go, and they collect everything, they monitor everything, and after they go with him and they are saying to him a lot of things that no one know but him. Like, we think that you have a girlfriend that no one know, and she's just here because you go here and and do thing and so on. And I think that you love to have some time with animals because you like to go through this road, but this road take a longer time than this road, but it's the only reason to go on this way, and so on. And the guys were like was like, oh, I understand why is it a problem to collect my own data. And this documentary is pretty good.
I didn't know about it, so definitely sharing the name on the screen right now. So you say that's available online, right?
Yes, on YouTube. So
Good.
Google will know that you are watching documentary about your own personal data.
If you haven't watched it, Citizen 4 is a very good documentary as well about Edward Snowden. I
Yes,
think they received an Oscar for it. Uh, yeah.
yes.
And like if you like something scary about because like you have private companies, but you have also what government what can do with data, which is like very scary as well. Like yeah, I mean yeah.
It is scary, but at the same time, I remember I had this kind of conversation in the past with someone who said, "Hey, if my watch is actually keeping track of my heart health, and then I'm advertised some kind of medicine that will improve my heart health, that's great, right? That's something that
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known uh, if I haven't been using this kind of device, and now maybe healthier. So they are selling stuff to me. Yeah, they will win some money. Yeah, but then I will gain on health and years on this planet. What do you think about that?
The-
I
I,
think
f-
you have
I think
this side, and then you have the side of the insurance company that know that you have a health issue and will increase the price for you because they know you have an issue.
exactly.
Like right now, in France, if you want to buy a house, you have to sign some stuff like I'm not a smoker, I don't drink alcohol that much, and they increase the price. Like of course, if you are a smoker, you have more ways to develop a cancer. Yeah. So I think it depends on which company is using your data. And let's say, for example, if you are using a VPN, like I see a lot of advertising about the VPN for people, and the most selling point is, oh, you can watch Netflix from another country and have the full catalog. But what they don't tell you that is they probably are collecting data from you and they are selling it maybe for ads on ads company, but maybe they are doing something else on it. And it's maybe this lack of transparency that is dangerous. But Maxime, you wanted to share something?
No, I really agree with you. I think the big issue with collecting data is not to collect one data and advertise you on this data to improve your health, because you are giving a scope on a very positive thing. But the real issue is that if you start collecting one data, you will have another one data and another one data, and then you will start to make profile, you will start to make behavior, you will start to have comportamental analysis, and you will start to do things that that are, that are that are not for your own benefit. And the real problem with technology, but not just technology, the real problem with everything in life, it's that if you manage to invent something great, there is always be someone to turn it into something dark and bad. And if you see that when they start to do some research about nuclear power to have more power and electricity power. Someone came into the game and say, okay, let's make a bomb with it. And when Tim Berners-Lee want to have the World Wide Web, he want to say, okay, let's make a safe place where researchers and people can share information and knowledge to have a population with more deep understand of the world, of the life, and more knowledge, and be smarter. And then yes, let's do some dance on TikTok to show how funny we are. And there is always something bad about something great. It's mostly, sorry Luca, about marketing and advertising and selling things to people, but really it's really the money turn everything into bad things.
You're at the center of everything.
I think
And
you're
you're
mute,
muted.
Luca. It's not because you can't.
That's why. Okay, no, I was saying like advertising actually, I mean, is like, I mean, like nobody really likes advertising except for me when it's like one targeted. And sometimes they like it. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it does happen. That's true. But like advertising has been like funding the web for like ages. Like, so many newspapers are like for free because of thanks to advertising. It's kind of a nice business model. And actually, if you study the tech, because I used to work in that part, I used to work in a digital marketing agency, and I used to work in programmatic advertising. And programmatic advertising is that when you see just an ad on the website, many advertisers has been bidding on it, basically to target you. Like now, it's not just like you pay a fair price; you just like bid on things, and like you are thousands and hundred thousands of people bidding that bids to target an ad on you. And it's a very interesting tech ecosystem to understand how everything works. It's very complex. Uh, it's not very transparent as well. It's very hard to understand like what's happening into this ecosystem, but it's very interesting. And it has been funding the web for like ages. Like,
Yeah, that's an interesting topic actually. We should definitely have one episode for that. And actually, do you realize that we've been speaking about privacy
Yeah,
when our goal was to actually talk about observability,
yeah.
which you may argue have something to do with it? But yeah, it's been a great conversation that we may be able to plan for the future to talk about this whole area of topics. But why don't we just jump into observability and share some stories? I want to know what stories you guys have heard in the past that are worth sharing. Who wants to jump in? Tell me your most interesting observability stories.
I would say like observability, so observability is like something that is becoming more and more important as like our users infrastructure are becoming more and more distributed and complex, right? Thanks to the era of microservices, containers as well. Everything is just becoming more and more complex, and being able to know actually what's going on in your infrastructure or your application has become really hard actually. And so that's why like observability is definitely a key topic on this because as we were saying before, we get more and more data, but how do we use it? How can we make sense of it? How we can monitor it? How we can use it to trigger things like you have something happening in your infrastructure and you want an automatic response to it, for instance. Because without it, basically, you can have an outage, and for like, I don't know, like, I feel like there was like, I'm not going to say the name, but the companies that was like out for like a day, and it cost them like 5 million, I think. And the thing is, I think it was an observability provider. That's actually the thing. That's the first story behind it. I think it was that one.
Who watches the
Yeah, I
Watchers?
remember.
Yeah,
Hmm?
that's the title of our episode. Who watches the Watchers?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, observability is definitely becoming more and more important, being able to monitor your infrastructure and understanding what's going on using metrics and logs. Traces as well, definitely a key topic. And it's kind of like, so it's becoming more and more important, but the thing is, it's quite expensive. Observability is not easy to do, and you have many players on the market. And so my funny story would be when we were trying to design the pricing of cockpit with Maxim, we tried to make a comparison with some of our competitors and to try to check like for that amount of samples, so metrics or gigabytes of logs, how much a user would pay. And Maxim would definitely agree on this, that like comparing prices was almost impossible because pricings are not very transparent. Pricing business models are very different. And we were doing this interview with a client, and he told us that in a previous experience, in a previous company he was working, he actually was like expecting like a bill of like with 3 digits, and the bill was like 5 digits because it was like unpredictable. So yeah. So and because I'm the marketing guy, I'm just gonna say that's why we have designed our cockpit to be as transparent and predictable as possible.
And yeah, that's a good selling point. Totally.
Indeed.
How about you, Ben? Do you have any interesting stories to share?
I have stories like observability is required right now when you are working on a company and on a project. I can tell like before Scaleway, I was working for a company and we had some issue like the website were very unstable. Every time we do some deployment, it crashes and it was very hard to follow because we didn't have like centralized observability. For example, for the log, you had to connect to each server to tail the log. So we start to have like a tool named multitail that helps you to open multiple file on multiple server like on your terminal. And it was a mess. Like it was a rainbow of colors, like one color per server, and to try to check. And when you have like tens of thousands of requests per second, it's impossible to follow. So once we plugged in some monitoring with an APM, we start to see like just some basic metrics on our on the URL of the website, and we were able to figure out one URL that was taking more than 60% of the load, basically, on the infrastructure. Just knowing that was enough for us to dig into that route, what it was doing. And basically, it was doing just a simple thing. Every time you click somewhere on the web page, an Ajax request was sent to the server, and we stored some data to give to another team. And the way the data was serialized was wrong, let's say, and it's consumed too much CPU and too much time. So a request takes about 300 milliseconds to run. We fixed the issue with the serialize, and it takes now 50 milliseconds, and everything was fixed after the deploy, because now instead of having the load on all the server because of this URL, everything was going back to normal and everything came back stable. Just a simple story to say that just plugging some observability can help a lot when you are running application live.
That's great, yeah. Knowing what's going on from beginning to end and tracing things. Because, yeah, you also mentioned that, Lucas. Traceability is important. Connecting things from beginning to end.
Yeah, I think on observability, you have, on my point, 3 pillars. You have the logs, the metrics, and the trace. So the metrics help you know when it happened. The logs tell you how it happened, and the trace tell you where it happened. So if you have all of them, it's perfect. You can even add some profiling to have like some deep investigation for like one request, for example. But at least having metrics is really good, or logs, and if you have both, it's really great. And this is what we are providing with Cockpit. So
Cool.
Can you imagine having an outage and not being able to know where it's coming from? Like, imagine you're just like Amazon. Imagine how much money you lose per second. Like, if you just have one, I don't know, like your cart application is down, like, and you don't know why.
Yeah, you start
You just
unplugging
like,
and plugging again every
yeah,
service until something
yeah, and
lights
in the
up.
meantime, you just like you're losing millions like per hour. So yeah. That's why it's as important to have like monitoring setup that allows you to quickly first of all see what's going on, and if you have a trouble, being able um, to know from where, using, as Ben was saying, like logs, metrics, and traces.
Yeah, I remember working for a startup several years ago where our users were the ones making the reports. So yeah, they were doing the observability for us. So hey, this is not working. That's the time when we manually went to the website and checked that yeah, it works on my machine, right?
it's work on your machine, you deploy, and you wait for the client to call if something is wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the whole cycle. So maybe hours, days, until you hear back from them and they say, yeah, it's still not working. And then you need to figure out, okay, is that that specific computer's issue? So I remember when we told clients, can you clear your cookies? Can you clear local storage? And debugging with them instead
Can
of
you restart your
getting
computer?
data. Yeah, yeah. Try with a different browser because you don't
Can
have the
you
data.
can you install TeamViewer and I will have a look, please?
Oh man, yeah. Good old days.
We can
Maxime,
talk
what can
about
you tell us
what
about the good old days and the good days of today?
um I don't know if there is really good old days and good days of today. What I can see is that it's really no easier to set up an observability solution, and I think a lot of DevOps, and a lot of people understand how powerful it could be if you correctly set up it and use it. I have a pretty recent example on an application for taking appointment to like a barber shop. The application went down, and they don't know why, and they don't have a observability setup at all. So they start debugging everything at the end. By the end, they go, into the developer tools from Google Chrome, and they start inspecting their code and so on. It takes days and days, and they were very stuck because sometimes the application went up, sometimes it went down, but they don't understand why it's going down and when it's going down. And then a new dev come into the team, and he was really good at observability and know how precious it was. So he start installing observability solution for the whole application, and they put traces, and they understand that a client used the application to make a use case that they don't imagine, because they have a client that set up an appointment type where the type has no duration. So it was infinity. And sometimes when the client use a specific function of the application to know the next availability of this appointment, as you guess, the the runtime go crazy and go looping, and they don't understand, and they start to put traces. And at the time the bug happened again, it went like traces went crazy, and they could see what happened and fix the bug in like 1 hour. It was really a shitty bug, but I think people understand the possibility of observability. The great next step will be that people start to use, install, configure, and take time on observability before something goes wrong into their system, because it's almost already too late when you start doing some crazy stuff about observability. We can maybe Benjamin will be agreeing with me. We have a lot of clients that want to send data to our observability solution in Scaleway, and they are always saying that, oh my god, it can cost a lot of money, like Lucas said. And the first thing that the team are saying is, are you sure you have take a look at what you are sending, when you are sending it, the frequency of sending it? No, I just set up an agent on my instances on my server, and let do it the job. Okay, but do you really need to know that your CPU is high every 2 seconds? Or maybe we can be 10 or 30 or 20? And do you know that you are collecting logs from what you are deleting from your recycle bin? Do you really need it? And people know that observability is important, but they are very, very, they don't want to take time to set up things. And right now, if you want to go open source and not to pay too much with a SaaS solution, you have to take time to configure your solution. And I think it will be the next big step for a lot of people into observability.
That's a great point, yeah, because you can set something up and expect it to be just magic and work for you in the future. But if you are not watching the actual information that you need at the rate that you actually need it, then you're probably wasting money or time. Yeah, that's a great point. So over here on the screen, you'll find the link for our observability cockpit product that you can use. And can you tell us more about it? How it's implemented? What are the capabilities?
Yes, I can present.
Let's go, Benjamin.
Okay,
Yeah.
so basically we are cockpit. If you enable it on your project, you can have one cockpit per project, and when you enable it, every resources that you are using in Scaleway, like instances, container, serverless, function, and soon Kubernetes, load balancer, every metrics and logs from these services ends up in your cockpit. And this is free. Like every product of Scaleway, every metrics of Scaleway product is free. Every logs of Scaleway is free for 1 month for the metrics and 1 week for the logs, I think. And you can pay if you want, like for 1 year. But basically, it's free. The only thing you pay is the metrics that you are sending. And this is why Maxime was talking about people that send too much data and they don't use them. And then they complain, oh, it should be too much. And then you just discuss with them and say, do you really need this metrics? Do you really need this amount of data every 1 second? Maybe every 1 minute it's enough? And that's it. They understand. So
So everything that's all the data that's
Yeah.
coming from Scaleway products is free. Then everything that I want to send from other
your
sources,
application,
yes,
from your application, from maybe AWS or Google, you can send
right.
data to us and we will store it for you. And we will provide you a Grafana for free too. So you can create your own dashboard for free. We save it for you, and you can query the metrics from Scaleway or your own, and you can do whatever you want, basically.
Cool. That's so cool. I want us to take a look at that into the future, maybe have some examples and play with data. That will be a great session to have, along with the data privacy that we definitely need to have. So yeah, if you want to continue hearing us just talk about random things and sometimes Scaleway products, check out our previous Scaleway sessions available on YouTube. We are streaming to YouTube and also Twitch. And if you want to learn more about what we're doing here, you can read our newsletter called Behind the Helm. It's curated for you, and it also has a crossword. Have you guys solved the crossword?
No, because I'm not a crossword guy. I wish I was, but I'm not. But you know what? I think I'm gonna try it because I think it's like always fun.
Yeah,
And
me
like
here.
it's a good way of like to make sure like you enrich your vocabulary and like that's fun.
Yeah, it is, and it's centered around Kubernetes. So it's an
Oh,
interesting
amazing.
thing. Yeah. And once again, I'm sharing the link here for our observability cockpit. Observability cockpit.
Observability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
tough,
used to
tough.
it. You use
Yeah,
it
yeah, I've been
every
yeah,
single
all
day.
the time. Took me time to be able to say it like properly.
Oh yeah, it does take time. Well, I think we have shared enough stories, really fun stories. I had a great time with you folks. I'm hoping we can actually make our talk about privacy a reality because, yeah, it seems like we have a lot of interesting points to share. So, yeah, thank you for coming today, for sharing all this information with us, for being good sports, and hope to have you here on stream one more time in the future.
Thanks a lot, Diego.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching Scaleway
Thank
Sessions.
you.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.